I'm Leanne and we're doing a beginner's stretch class today. So just lay yourself down on your mat. Bring your feet a hip's distance apart. So you have about a fist distance between your knees. And just start to allow yourself to just sink into the mat. Gently lengthening through the back of the neck by allowing the chin to softly dip towards the throat. Let the toes spread and allow your collarbones to open, ribs sinking, pelvis sinking. Jaw and face relaxed. Just begin by taking a breath in through the nose, drawing the breath into the sides and back of your ribs, and as you exhale, allow your lips to part so the breath can come out over your lips, feeling everything soften on your breath out. So draw the breath in through the nose, right down into the belly to expand your diaphragm. Exhale, breath out over the lips, softening through the back body. One more. Long breath in. Exhale and soften. So bringing your hands, the heel of your hands over the front of your hip bones or the ASIS of your pelvis, allowing the thumbs to come together and middle finger meeting over the pubic bone, so you make like a little heart shape over the front of your pelvis. We're going to go into some pelvic tilts. Start off with a breath in, and on your exhale I want you to draw the pelvic floor in and up and close your ribs. Feel your waist narrowing to allow the pelvis to tip back, tailbone reaching the back of the knees, and then as you inhale, release the contraction of those muscles to roll the pelvis forward towards the tailbone. Exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and up, close the ribs, and allow the pelvis to roll back. Inhale, release, rolling forwards. Feel your pelvis moving under your hands. One more. Exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and up, close the ribs, and just checking as you take that pelvis back, you're not over clenching your buttocks. Inhale and allow your pelvis to roll forwards. Now just relax into the mat. Bring your arms by your sides and we'll go into our pelvic tilts into a bridge. So again, long breath in, exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and up, close the ribs, feel the waist narrowing like a weight belt tightening, tip the pelvis back. Start to wrap and squeeze the glutes now, so it's like you're drawing your sit bones together. Press into your heels, press into your toes, reach your knees out over your toes, lift your hips, and at the top, feel your shoulder blades are still grounded. Take a breath in here, and then exhale, draw the pelvic floor in and up, close the ribs, feel the waist narrow. Now use your core as you roll back down one vertebra at a time. At the bottom, release. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. Draw the pelvic floor in and up. Close the ribs. Feel the waist narrowing. Now as you roll that pelvis back, soften your breastbone. Wrap and squeeze the glutes, drawing the sit bones together to feel the support and lift come from your glutes to hold your hips up there. Inhale at the top. Exhale. Engage the core to roll down from the top of the spine between the shoulder blades, then down through the middle of the back, back of the waist, back of the pelvis, and then sacrum last. Release. One more. Inhale. And then exhale. Again, engage the core, roll the pelvis back, soften the breastbone, keep the collarbones wide, keep length through the crown. Inhale at the top, add your arm arc, reach your arms back, leave them back there, and then on the exhale, engage the core, leave them there to roll down. Bring your pelvis down as evenly as you can. Release, and then bring the arms down. Okay, so with the arm arc, we'll do two more. Breath in. Exhale, engage the core. Again, tipping the pelvis back, feeling the back of the waist, draw down into the mat. Feel the wrap and squeeze of the glutes. So it's not a clench of the buttocks. It's feeling those sit bones draw together, narrowing your pelvis. Inhale at the top, take the arms back. Exhale, engage the core. And again, as you roll down, bring your pelvis down as evenly as you can and start to reach through your little fingers and your crown so you lengthen your spine down along the mat. And then bring your arms back down. Last one, inhale and exhale to roll the pelvis back. Engage your core, wrap and squeeze your glutes. Check at the top that your knees are still in line with your hips and shoulders. They haven't gone out to the sides. If they has, press out onto your big toe knuckle a bit more. If your knees drop inwards, press more to the outside of the foot. Inhale, take the arms back. Exhale, engage the core, rolling down, lengthening your spine down the mat. And then release at the bottom. Bring one knee at a time into your chest, hug them in. And as you breathe out, just bring your head to your knees. Bring your shoulders down away from your ears and keep sinking down through the back of the pelvis and then release down. Keep the right knee in, lengthen the left leg on the ground. You can hold the back of the thigh, the front of the shin, whatever suits. Breath in, using the exhale to soften your thigh to your chest. Allow the left leg to stay lengthened and sinking down towards the ground. So just start to draw through the back of the left knee into the ground to help open the front of the left hip. 2 more. Breath in, exhale, soften that thigh to your chest. 1 more. Holding now behind the thigh, fingers interlaced, or you can always use a TheraBand. Flex the foot, breathe in and exhale, extend. Inhale, bend, thigh to chest. Exhale, extend, reach the heel to the ceiling. Inhale, bend. Exhale, open the back of the knee. So as you breathe out, extending the leg, reaching the heel to the ceiling, draw the back of your hip towards the ground. 1 more and hold. Holding here, hands can stay behind the thigh or behind the calf. If you've got your TheraBand, just hold it one hand above the other. Walk your hands up your band if you want to deepen the stretch with bringing your right knee to your right shoulder. Continue to breathe in through the nose, directing the breath now to the back of the right knee. And then as you exhale, soften, lengthen. Check your shoulders are grounded. Check your jaw and face is relaxed. Breath in. So using your breath as you exhale to help facilitate that stretch. You might have a smidgy bit more stretch. 2 more breaths. And last one. Long breath in. And then exhale. Soften. Good, let's bend that knee. Bring that leg onto the ground, switch to the other side. So we'll start off with knee to chest. Breath in. Exhale, soften your left thigh to your chest. Allow the right leg to stay lengthened on the ground. And as you exhale, you can also draw the back of the right knee to the ground to help open the right hip. A couple more here. So thinking of breathing out, not just to bring the thigh to your chest to help stretch into the front of your left hip, but also lengthen your spine. So long length through the back of your neck. Then bring your hands behind the thigh. And then exhale, extend, or grab your TheraBand. Breath in, exhale, extend, foot is flexed. So as you breathe out, you can lead with the heel, opening through the back of the knee, but anchoring through the back of your left hip. Let's hold this one. Breathing in now, directing the breath to the back of the left knee. Exhale, opening the back of the left knee. Or option to deepen the stretch and bring the left knee towards the left shoulder. Check that you're still lined up through the right and left side of your body. Shoulders grounded, breathe in, and then exhale. Maybe hold when you get to your maximum, focusing on breath and relaxing the right toes on the ground. 1 more here. Draw the breath in through the nose, again thinking about breath into the sides and back of your ribs so that you are laterally opening the rib cage, and then exhale, Bend that knee and let that leg lengthen down next to the other one. And then we'll move into the next stretch where you can bring both feet on the ground. Right ankle can cross over just above the left knee, and that might be your stretch, or you just grab behind the left thigh. Just make sure you can leave your head on the ground, and then you can start to exhale and possibly encourage the left knee towards the left shoulder to stretch into your right hip. You could bring the hands around the front of the shin, and then if you wanted to deepen the stretch, the right foot can be brought up to the crease of the left one in this fashion. So just find your stretch, and now breathing in to wherever you may feel tightness, and as you exhale, softening. So just wherever your fascia's tight, direct the breath there now, and then exhale, just allow yourself to relax. A couple more breaths. Possibly encouraging a little bit more deepening of your stretch. Last one here. Keep lengthening your spine along the ground. Release, and we'll switch over to the other side. So again, find which stretch that you want to do, deepening it by bringing the left foot up into the crease of the right thigh, making sure there's no pain in your knee. Again, breathe in wherever you may feel the fascia is tight, or there's a pull. Check your shoulders are relaxed. Allow your back body to soften more into the ground. Possibly encourage the right knee if you want to deepen the stretch towards your right shoulder. And continue to lengthen your spine along the ground, particularly through the tailbone. So one more breath here, and then release. So we'll bring both knees in. Let your knees go together and just do 3 circles each way. Then you can take the knees apart and do 3 circles each way, just allowing the guidance of the movement be from your hands, so you can let the legs relax and massage into your hip sockets, keeping them well lubricated for mobility. And then from here, bring your feet on the ground and interlace your fingers. Bring your hands behind your head and allow your pelvis to just surrender. Let it sink, let it soften. Come back to your abdominals to focus on. Check your elbows are lifted enough so you can see them out your peripheral vision. And your hands, you've slid them down the back of your head so your little finger lines up with your occipital bone. You have support for the nape of your neck. This is our chest lift. Take a breath in. Exhale, engage the core to soften your breastbone, to lift your chest and look at your knees. Stay here and breathe in to the back of your ribs. And then on your exhale, again, lift your chest a little bit higher without pulling on the head or the neck, but keep the head well supported. Now breathe in and use the exhale to engage the core to slowly come down one bone at a time, lengthening through the back of the neck. 2 more. Inhale. And again, exhale. Engage the core, soften the breastbone and curl up through your head, neck and shoulders. Gaze comes to the knees. Inhale here to the back of the ribs. Exhale, see if you can slide the shoulder blades down more to help lift your chest without pulling on the head or neck. Inhale at the top and then exhale slowly, slowly, slowly coming down. Keep the back of the pelvis anchored. So breath in at the bottom And exhale to soften the breastbone to curl up into your chest lift without letting the pelvis roll back. So you're not going to over clench the buttocks. You're going to keep the pelvis anchored down. Inhale here. Exhale. Lift a little higher. Breathe in at the top and exhale all the way back down. Okay, so let's add on from here. So just first, leave your head down and feel that the back of your pelvis is anchored. Come back to your hip socket where we will do the movement for the next exercise. Breath in. Use your exhale to engage the core to float up the right leg so that you have a bent knee. The right thigh becomes vertical and the right shin becomes parallel to the floor. When you breathe in, you put your foot back down into the same footprint it came from. When you exhale, engage the core, the left leg is floating up to that 90-90. Now check here that you're sinking down through the back of your right and left hip evenly. Inhale to let that leg float back down. So the movement comes from your hip joint. Imagine you've got a skewer through your hips. So you're not extending from your knee. So inhale, exhale, feel the core engage to stabilize your spine and pelvis. And then as you float that leg up, you're using your psoas to lift the leg. And then slowly let that foot come back down into the footprint it came from. Soften and inhale, exhale, engage the core, float the leg up, imagining the leg is light but the bones are heavy. And then bring that foot back down. So we'll add the chest lift with that. Everything softens. Keep the elbows lifted. Breathe in. Use your exhale to lift the chest first. Look at the knees and bring the right leg back up. So you have a 90 at your hip and a 90 at your knee. And then we lower the right foot and the head together to breathe in. Alternate. Exhale, chest lift, left leg floats up. Inhale to lower. Keeping the back of the pelvis anchored, exhale so there's no rocking from side to side. Feel again the back of your right and your left hip staying evenly on the ground as if they were two sides of a scale. Last one on each side. Exhale, soften the breastbone, look at your knees, float up one leg. Inhale to lower together and exhale. Last one. Good. Pause here and bring your arms out by your sides but have your hands wider than your mat and place your feet and your knees together. So keeping your shoulders anchored and keeping a connection between the knees and your feet as if you've super glued the inside of your legs together, as if you've made two legs into one, like a mermaid's or merman's tail. Take your inhale to allow both legs to go over to the right, letting the left hip lift, keeping the left shoulder anchored. Now pause as you exhale to draw up the pelvic floor, close the ribs. So as you drag the pelvis back, you feel that you are working from your abdominals. Legs are moving to the left. And find that your right foot sits on top of your left. Exhale, engage the core and drag the pelvis back. So it's not your legs bringing, you're not working your legs to return everything to the center, but rather you feel that wrap around your waist, that closing of your ribs. Option to take your head to the opposite side your knees are going. Inhale, the knees go over, pause. Exhale, pelvic floor, tummy. Center. One more on each side. Inhale, pause, exhale, pelvic floor, tummy. Keep that drawing together of the inside of the legs. It helps you connect up through the inner thighs, which help connect you up through the pelvic floor and the deep tummy muscles. So let's pause there. Bring those knees in and roll yourself up to seated. Great, let's come to all fours, hands under shoulders and knees under hips. and just start to lift up through the heart so that you haven't allowed yourself to drop down and sink it, into the shoulders, and check that the head isn't down. You've lifted the back of your head up. So just press away the ground through your arms, shins and feet. Breathe in and exhale. Start to scoop the tummy back and curl and look in. Press the ground away continually now as you inhale to let your pelvis roll forwards, tailbone lifts, and then bring your chest and gaze forward and up the wall in front. Exhale, let your pelvis tuck, your tail tuck, your belly button draws back into your waist, arch through the back and look to your belly button. Inhale, so you're taking your tail to the ceiling, and think of it like a ripple up your back. So the last thing is your gaze in each direction of movement. Exhale, 2 more. Scoop back the tummy, hollow through the front of the tummy, and stretch into your back. Breathe in, open your collarbones, bring your chest through, lift up your chest and gaze. 1 more. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, lengthen out, and then find your neutral. Just come up to your high kneeling and take a step forward with your right foot. Keep your hips and shoulders square. Check your right knee stays over your right ankle. Left arm goes forward and up, and breathe out and let yourself start to lunge forward. But when you breathe out, zip up your pubic bone to your belly button, so you're not just going to collapse down, you're going to support your lower back. The idea is to stretch into the left hip. Inhale here, exhale. The arm, for some people, will be the stretch there, here. Some people go slightly over to the right. Again, breathe in, exhale, find that opening into this left hip area. You may feel a stretch somewhere else, that's fine. Keep your breath to again facilitate your stretch. Check that your right knee hasn't gone past the right ankle. If it has, just shift it forward a bit more. Breathe out, draw up the pelvic floor to zip up from your pubic bone to your belly button. 1 more. So let's come back and switch. Again, check your hips and shoulders are square. Right arm will reach forward now. Exhale, open up the right hip. Again, check your left knee stays over your left ankle. Keep your chest and gaze up and avoid overarching in the lower back. Breathing out. Zip up pubic bone to belly button, like you've got a pair of tight jeans on to support your lower back. Couple more breaths here. Very good stretch to do if you've been doing a lot of sitting or been a car for some time, to help stretch your hip flexors and your psoas, which is pretty much the same thing. So last one here. Good, and let's bring ourselves onto our tummies. Just take your right hand, rest your forehead on there, and then take hold of your left foot. You can always lie on your right side if that's easier to hold your left foot, or even wrap around a towel if you can't reach it. So breathe in, and as you breathe out, lengthen down the front of your left thigh. If you're on your tummy, keep your pubic bone as a bony landmark on the ground. If you're lying on your side, keep your tailbone reaching the end of the mat to avoid allowing your pelvis to pull forward and overarching or hyperextending in the lumbar spine. So again, inhale, exhale, lengthen down the front of your left thigh and continue your lengthening past the knee. So it's like you want to reach your thigh bone down to the end of the mat. Couple more breaths. Directing your left heel towards the middle of your bottom, as long as you have no pain in your knee. You're aiming to keep the left knee lined up through the left side. Doesn't matter if it's pulling a little bit out to the side, it just means that it's a little tight in the outside of that thigh where we have the iliotibial band, ITB. So 1 more breath here, and then release, and we'll switch over to the other side. Letting your forehead rest onto your hand, or just use a towel folded up if it's not comfortable like that. so you have length in the back of your neck. Breathe in and breathe out to lengthen down the front of your right thigh, and continue to lengthen past the knee. Checking you are keeping your pubic bone on the ground if you're on your tummy, or your tailbone reaching to the end of the mat if you're lying on your side. So opening through the front of the right hip, but also it's really targeting the stretch of the quad. So a couple more breaths. And of course, option, you can deepen the stretch by bringing your right heel in towards the middle of your right bottom. Last breath here, and then release. And then just bring both of your arms so you have them bent, elbows tucked in alongside of your rib cage, palms down, spread the fingers, and then start with your gaze down. Feet are hips distance apart. So we're going to take our breath in and breathe out. You want to draw up the pelvic floor, gently draw your tummy away, and do a wrap and squeeze of the glutes to draw the sit bones together, as we already did. Feel your pelvis pressing into the ground, and keep the tops of your feet pressing into the ground to bring your chest forward and up, your gaze forward and up into your thoracic extension. Inhale, release. Relax and recover. Exhale. Again, draw up the pelvic floor as if you want to draw a pea up a straw. Gently draw your tummy away as if you want to lift up a raspberry with your belly button. Now wrap and squeeze the glutes, which is drawing those sit bones together. It's narrowing the pelvis. Feel the pelvis now anchored as you start to lengthen forward with the gaze going forward and up. Lengthen forward, head out of the shoulders. Lengthen forward, chest going forward and up. Collarbones wide, and then release down. Just avoid going into any compression in your lower back. If you did feel that, you may be going too high, or you've let go of your tummy. So we'll just do two more. Check again, collarbones wide, like a big smile across the collarbone. So that'll give you more capacity to bring your chest through to find that extension. So inhale at the bottom, exhale to engage the core, press the pelvis and tops of the feet in the ground. As you start to bring your gaze forward and up, start to draw your head out of your shoulders, a little bit like a turtle's head coming out of his shell. Press through the pinky side of your finger to help bring the shoulder blades down away from your ears to help engage those muscles at the back of the armpits, and then relax down. Last one, inhale. Exhale, engage the core. Press the pelvis and tops of the feet in the ground. Draw the head out of the shoulders as you start to bring the gaze and chest forward and up. Press to the pinky side of the finger and open across the front of the chest. Release at the bottom. Press yourself up to your child pose, your rest position. Arms can be straight or bent. Direct the breath now to the back of the ribs. And then exhale, soften. Two more. Just allowing yourself to hopefully enjoy that stretch through the back. If it's not comfortable to bend the knees this much, you can always put a towel in the back of the knees. Lying on your left side so that you can mirror me. You can line yourself up with the back of your mat, and as long as it's comfortable, the arm can be straight out with your cheek resting on your bicep, or you could bend your arm and perhaps grab a towel. You want your head in line with your spine. So let's have our underneath hip and underneath shoulder lining up with the back of the mat and your heels. Bring your hand over the top of your hip or over the top of your side of the pelvis and press that away to make a long waist. So you want this underneath waist to lift rather than just relaxing down. So this is to bring neutral pelvis. Check your hips and shoulders are stacked and extend your top leg so your leg is in line with your hip. Think of the leg lengthening. Hold it there and breathe in. On the exhale, you draw the pelvic floor in and up and close the ribs. Now keep the leg lengthening, keep the core on to move the leg forwards. And then inhale, bring it back. Pause, exhale, drop the pelvic floor, close the ribs. You should feel your underneath waist lifting. Now lengthening that leg, continue to lengthen it as you go forwards. The movement comes from your hip joint. All you're doing is pivoting at the hip. 3 more. Inhale, exhale, engage your core. Keep the leg lengthening as you go forwards. Keep the hips stacked and the shoulders stacked. Breathe in to come back. 2 more. Exhale, engage the core, lengthen. Keep the lengthening so you're creating long, strong muscles. Last one. Inhale here and exhale. Again, core is on, it stays on. You're watching the top hip is not rolling forward or back, and then bring it back. Bring that knee over the front, give a little tap out. So you should have been feeling your bottom work there, and then change around so your underneath knee comes up and you can sit into a Z sit. Alternatively, just come up to high kneeling. Take your underneath arm and breathe in and breathe out and stretch it over. Inhale, bring the other arm up, exhale over. Anchor down through the pelvis, lifting up out of your waist as you come into the center. Inhale up, exhale over. So just to give yourself a side stretch. Moving around to the other side again, line up your underneath shoulder, underneath hip and heels. Check your hips and shoulders are stacked. Lengthening your top leg away, pressing that top hip away. Checking your underneath waist is lifting. Head in line with your spine. Breathe in and breathe out. Again, draw up the pelvic floor, close the ribs. Now keep lengthening your leg to bring it forwards. Feeling the fold in the front of that hip where your hand is. Inhale, take it back. Feel the opening in the front of the hip. Again, exhale, engage the core. Lengthen the leg first before you take it forwards. Use your underneath side of the body to ground yourself. Inhale to come back, keep the leg at hip height. Exhale, engage the core. And again, as you lengthen through the leg, lengthen through your crown so you have a long spine. 2 more, breath in here. Pause, exhale, engage the core. Leg lengthens, take it forwards. Again, just pivoting from the hip, keeping your hips stacked. Avoid your top hip rolling back. Last one, inhale here, pause, exhale, draw up the pelvic floor, close the ribs, feel your underneath waist lift, keep it all on, keep the leg lengthening, bring it forwards, and then take it back. Bring that knee over, give it a little tap out, and then if you bring your underneath knee up, sit in the Z sit or high kneeling. Take your underneath arm up and breathe in, and exhale, stretch over. Gaze stays ahead. Inhale, exhale, side bend. So imagine you're between 2 little paper walls, watching as you bring your top arm over. Your top shoulder is not rolling forwards. 1 more on each side. Lift yourself out of your waist. Lift your ribs out of your pelvis so you find length before you side bend. Fan your ribs up to the ceiling. Stretch into the sides of your body. Good. Okay, let's bring ourselves around, back onto our tummies. Feet again, hips distance apart. Arms, so that you have them shoulder width apart. Palms down. Keeping your elbows straight, draw your shoulder blades back and down. So you have your shoulders away from your ears. You have the biggest gap you can make between the bottom of your earlobe and top of the shoulder. You want to have your gaze down, so you have your head in line with your spine, and we'll go into opposite arm and leg. So starting off with a breath in, exhale, engage the core, wrap and squeeze the glutes so you feel the pelvis pressing in the ground to lengthen your right arm and left leg across to the opposite sides of the room. As you lift the right arm, lift your gaze and chest. Mini chest lift. Inhale, everything lowers. Exhale, engage the core, lengthen the left arm and right leg, bring up the chest and gaze. Inhale to lower, exhale, Engage the core so the tummy's lifting, pelvis presses into the ground to find your anchorage. Inhale, lower, and you're checking there's no rocking through your front of your pelvis. Breath in at the bottom. Exhale, engage the core, lengthen to lift your left arm and your right leg. Inhale to lower. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. So as you exhale and you take your right arm away from the ground, your chest and gaze is being lifted from your upper back. Last one, inhale. Exhale, engage the core, lengthen to lift. You're not wanting your arm higher than the shoulder. You're not wanting your back heel any higher than your buttocks. So you want to avoid going up too high, especially with the back leg, because it could pull the pelvis forwards. Pressing back to child pose.